Hello, colleague. Hello, everybody. I would like to take you through what we are doing at FAO side in terms of, dryland, the forestry contribution to food security and nutrition. Next slide, please. Um, the context of the dryland, we have really produced a lot of document on that. And if you can see the logo, Action Against Desertification, if you go on that web pages, you will see, all the activity that we are doing in the drylands. Very important component in terms of food production globally and in terms of livestock. You come to, Africa, you have seen in the introductory slide, the map of the continent. Just in the south of the Sahara, that is where you have the whole Great Green Wall program that we are working on in terms of environment, in terms of the context for that part of the continent. You have a 3-month rainfall, and the rainfall really in that arid and semi-arid range between 100 millimeter to maximum 600 millimeters. So in 3 months time, you have really farmers have to produce and to get everything from the arable land, the livelihood, and So what we built around this program is the linkage between livelihood, seasonality, and what can be produced during that period, and also how to bridge the 9 to 11 months of the dry season. Next slide, please. That is roughly the context. But if you look at the contribution of forests, yes, I used to say you have the hunter-gatherer. The gathering was really from the forest during millennia before even we develop the agriculture and domestication of the species. That is really the massive context. But even today, it's valid because forest wild plants are still contributing to dietary diversity, the quality, the seasonality, and as the other speakers have mentioned it's really still important for the community living there. Next, please. Now, this is just some of the statistic and the information that have been worked on to show that if the high exposure to the forest cause children to have a 25% greater dietary diversity. This is really, really important. It's been analyzed, and it shows how the forest can contribute really to the population for the nutrition and the quality of the diet. Next slide, please. Now, as I was introducing, what is our approach? Just to remind you that all what existed in the forest, the resilience of the community are really, really important. That's how they managed to survive in that harsh environment for millennia or for thousands of years. The symbiotic relationship between the landscape, the livelihood, and nutrition are really, really important. Now, what we do in terms of what exists as a forest resources is not, it doesn't stay forever. It's something that changes, and that is really depleting. Globally, you have something like 400,000 vascular plant species that have been already studied. And among that, you have fewer than 200 species that are currently used. Even that is really a great diversity. But if you look at the agricultural side, it's come to some dozens of species that are mainly cultivated and so on. And most of these species are, you find that in the dryland, either cultivated as a cereal or pulses, but also it exists in the wild that can be harvested. Now, our approach, next slide, please. Our approach is to look at that context and see how we can halt or mitigate or reduce the depletion of those resources in the dryland. Now, we start with identify what needs to be done on the ground. When do you need to get those species, and work with the communities how to improve their livelihood, their lifestyle. For those who knows that sort of environment in the dry land, livestock is important. Livestock and agriculture is really, really important. And how you can intervene and help to reduce the depletion of those natural resources. The pictures I put that these are related to what sort of activity. So if you look at the edge of the Sahara, in the semi-arid and so on, those plants are disappearing year after year. So what we do, we have some intervention with the communities. Here is something like 200 hectares, completely bare soil, where you cannot even have a natural regeneration. So we put in some machinery to work on the ground for the water harvesting, because all the agriculture and the plantation are linked to just the rain water during these 3 months. So you prepare the land in that way, it captures the water, and it's allowed you now to plant the seedlings that grows. You can see that in the second picture at the bottom. So what need to be planted? So next slide, please. You go to the community and then you discuss about plants and people, what the plants are used for. Apart from the feed and the food for people, you have also the livelihood and for mainly at the community level. I just want now to talk about some of the most important critical species that really contribute to the nutrition of the nomad of people living in that area. One of them is Balanites aegyptiaca. This is the scientific name. It's called the desert date. You have a lot of information about the content or the use of that species. Next slide, please. These are the species most sought out by the community that they plant. It exists in the wild, but as I said, it's depleting. So they need to regenerate to domesticate those species. On the left-hand side, you can see the oil extracted in from the fruit. The fruits are pulpy and the sweet fruit, they're edible. The composition are all there. It just provides what they call the healthy fat or the healthy oil. But what we do, beside the planting of those species, we have been training the village community like these ladies how to use the oil to make some soap, which is quite critical at this time of COVID for hygiene and hand washing and so on. These are some of the industry. So besides planting the species, besides using the non-timber forest product, the byproduct coming from the species, how also you can help them for their own use and also for income generation in the village level. Next slide, please. The second species.
Moctar, you're now at time. If you could please wrap up.
Yeah, okay. The second species, Boscia senegalensis. This is one of the species that remain green during the dry season and is produced during the dry season. That helps really to bridge the gap before the raining season that the farmers can cultivate and get something from the farm. Next slide, please. Sclerocardia biria, some of you may be familiar with that, is a marula, also heavily used, have some good fat content that is used to improve the nutrition of the community living there. Next slide, please. I'm rushing because I just gave you some of the few examples. This is one of the best examples that have been successful in what you're doing with the communities. I call it the two-in-one species. You have the feed and the food at the same time. As you remember, the lifestyle is help to take care of the animals and also for the people. Three species, the annuals, the Panicum, Digitaria, and Senna. Some are wild fonio for those who know the species in the area. So we plant them at the same time to improve the land productivity, the vegetation cover. The grain are used for as a food, and also the animal use that for the feed. My last slide, just to wrap up because time is running. These are some of the way forward that we're building, how to support the decision making. We have a lot of data that we're putting on the website and for our side that you can see. I will jump straight to my last point, really how to educate the consumers, the awareness. And what I put into bracket is just how to reduce the stigma. In every, part of the planet, the fact that things come from the village or come from the farmers is sometimes really overlooked and not valued. But today, to maintain the biodiversity, to maintain the food production, to maintain the diversity of what comes from the wild, we have really to work to reduce the stigma and then to do more research to give more information to people. With that, I mean, I will stop here and thank you very much for your attention.